Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation's LNTV. I'm your host, Mark Angelides. Do you know a secret terrorist? Chances are that if you follow San Francisco's latest resolution, you do. According to the city's Board of Supervisors, the NRA is now a terrorist organization. Here to discuss this is Liberty Nation's legal affairs correspondent, Scott DeCostanza. Good to have you on board, Scott.
Cheers, Mark. It is the Board of Supervisors. They voted unanimously, quote, that the city and county of San Francisco intends to declare the National Rifle Association a domestic terrorist organization.
Tell me it ain't so, Scott. Is this a real thing? This isn't some kind of bizarre joke.
It is so. The 11-member council, all Democrats, by the way. We talk about how left and how Democrat the city is, but I think that kind of will help put it in perspective for some people who think that maybe it's just a super majority, for instance. No. There are 11 seats, and every single one is occupied by a Democrat.
So, I mean, this was just a resolution, though, so it has no real legal standing, but does it signify...
Let me back you off of that statement, Mark. I think it does have legal standing, and that's one of the problems for it. It says further, and I'm now reading directly from the resolution itself, further resolved that the city and county of San Francisco should take every reasonable step to assess the financial and contractual relationships our vendors and contractors have with this domestic terrorist organization. So what that means is it's incumbent then upon anybody who does business with the city to make sure that they're also not supporting or doing business with this terrorist organization. Just like it might be true for an actual terrorist organization. That's the legal consequence of this. So it does actually have some teeth somewhere, and that's, I think, going to be its downfall.
So this is a platform really to cut off funding and support for the NRA within San Francisco, would you say?
Well, I think it's a platform for, and I don't wish to be terribly flippant, but for the temper tantrum of the 11 people who voted for it, who don't like gun owners, gun rights, and want to do anything they can to frustrate same. And I just think that this was sort of them lashing out. It's hard to imagine that contractors for the city of San Francisco are going to be big NRA people, but if they were, this would affect them. And more than that, Mark, in the United States, we're not allowed to, as government bodies, investigate the political aspects of the people who do business with the government. If you supply the city of San Francisco, I was going to say toilet paper, but we know they don't buy any of that stuff for the people. So let's say if you bought, if you were supplying hypodermic needles to the city for a giveaway program, I don't even know if I want to go to that trope, but I went there. All right, so I'll own it. It's not appropriate to ask that person what they believe in, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, or their position on any given legislation. That's part of what our First Amendment protects, is our right to think our thoughts about policy and politics and issues of the day without having that impact whether we get a driver's license or whether we are able to sell our widgets to the city under their contracting bids. And that's what the legislative body of the city of San Francisco has implemented here with this resolution.
So my question, Scott, is does the NRA or companies or vendors that have historically supported the NRA, or even NRA members, do they have a recourse against this?
Well, certainly, yes. And the recourse is to sue San Francisco in federal district court for them to basically have this piece of legislation, because it's a resolution, but it has the force of legislation for those things that it enacts, stricken down as unconstitutional. I suspect it will be done so by the first federal court who has the misfortune of seeing the case.
All right, Scott, thank you ever so much for casting a bit of light on this. Much appreciated.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you.
And thank you to you at home for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you learned a little something, press subscribe down below. Or head over to libertynation.com, where we have radio, podcasts, great articles, and more LNTVs. Thanks for watching.